everybody, it's Kathi with Simply Cards by Kathi, and I'm going to give just a minute for everybody to get on while I try to turn this video around. And we're just going to flip this around so you can see. My name's Kathi and I'm with Simply Cards by Kathi, and I'm excited today to show you the Daffodil Daydream dies. The bundle focus for this month with Stampin' Up! Is the Daffodil Daydream Bundle. And today I have them both here for you, but we're going to play with the dies and not really use the stamps at all. Beautiful pictures, and I do want to show you, this is just one that I did that I'm working on with another card, and you can see there are dies to cut it out. So this is one of the dies that I cut out, but we're going to play with the die cuts. And the reason being is when I opened them, I was really intimidated by them. So before we get started, I just want to bring in my mini catalog and show you that this bundle is on the new mini catalog of page 37. And you can see it has stamps and some greetings for Mother's Day and Easter, and then you can see the dies down here. And in the celebration brochure, it has some really beautiful paper, and that is on page 4 and 5 of the celebration brochure. And I just wanted to go over it quickly with you. And remember, with celebration, for every $50 you spend, you get to pick out a free item. So I have some samples of the paper here, and this is the front and back of one. This is the front and back of another. So you have really beautiful floral papers, but then you have some stripes and plaids, and you'll see some polka dots. This is another one, front and back. I really like this one with the bumblebee color. And then this one is daffodil floral, but with black on the other side. So pretty papers, and those are available for free with every $50 purchase. Now I'm going to go ahead, and I did do a lot of the prep work because we won't be doing much stamping, and I wanted to focus on the dies. So here's the Daffodil dies. And when you first look at them, to me, they were pretty intimidating. It's like which piece goes with which. So I did show you, there are two larger floral images to cut out the stamps in the stamp set. And I showed you this was one of them that I did. But then the rest of these are for making your own daffodil with the die cuts. So it's like, where do I start? So I want to show these to you, and I cut out all the pieces, and we're going to go ahead and put it together then and make a card. So they give you two bases for two daffodil flowers, and then the more intricate cuts to them are here, and they actually fit in, and I'll show you that as we cut the papers. And they give, what's nice is they give you almost two of everything. So you have two of the centers for the flower, you have two leaves, two stems, you have a butterfly, the center for the butterfly, and then you have the little, an extra cutout for detail on that butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and move these off to the side, and I'm going to bring in all of our pieces and parts to our card. So I did mention to you that I cut and got everything ready ahead of time. So this will all be down below in the video later on today and over on my website. You don't need to write everything down, But this is a basic card base. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So cutting is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of Very Vanilla, and I ran that because I wanted some texture to my card. I ran that through the cut and emboss machine, and I used the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. And I don't know if you can see that up close, but some just fine detail. I really like it, and there, I have a card I made with this that I'll show you after. And then I cut a 2-inch piece of our designer series paper to layer on here. This is a thank you card, so I already stamped the greeting, and the greeting is from Celebrating You, which is in the new mini catalog, and we'll cut that down. And then the inside is just going to be Very Vanilla with a 1/2-inch strip on the edge, so that I have the ability to write a greeting. So we're going to move this off to the side here, and we're going to go ahead and play with all these pieces. So if at any point you can't see well, please leave me a comment, and I will try to watch the screen and move things around a little bit. So here are the pieces, and remember I told you there were 2 of everything. So these are 2 pieces here that are going to go together, and with these are these 2, let me move them out of the way, 2 overlays for the petals, and you can see how they'll fit in right, like, and you might have to move them around a little bit. This one's going to go right like that. So I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to bring in my silicone mat because I'm pretty messy when it comes to gluing. So let's go in here, and we're going to take our flower, and we're going to go ahead and attach this. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on it. And this is going to glue right there. Okay. And we'll set that off to the side here. And then we're going to take our other one that is just the same. And you can see how that fits over it. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a little dab of glue. So it's almost like putting a puzzle together when you put these. And the first time I did it, I thought, oh boy. But actually, it came out well, and it really isn't that hard. And so I didn't want anyone to be intimidated using it, so I thought it would be a good video to go over. Now you can see this is a smaller daffodil, like one that's not quite fully bloomed. And the overlay is also shaped differently than the other 2. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that down. Now, one of the other things you can do with this, we're going to leave those there. These are like little petals that have started to come down with this immature daffodil. So we're going to go ahead and attach this. And flip it around. Oh, other way. There we go. And then we have our centers that I'm going to bring in. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on here. Now I chose to use pale papaya for this because that was one of the colors in the designer series paper that I am using for the card. But I want to give this a little bit more, I guess, depth to the color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stampin' Blends, and I have my dark pale papaya. And I'm going to use the larger end, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to color in, add some color to the overlay. And I should have done this before, but I didn't before I glued it down, mainly because I wanted to go over it with you. So with this one, and we're just going to do it to the centers here, that's all. And you can see it just gives it a nice contrast, which I really like. I'm going to do it over here, same thing. And then I'm going to, the paper that we have has a little bit of a pink tint to the edges of these daffodils. And we're going to add that using a dauber and some melon mambo. So let's finish this up. And I want to do this here too. Now I'm going to bring in my melon mambo. And I'm just going to dab it lightly and dab off. And then I'm going to take the edges, and hopefully you can see that. My head's not in the way. But I'm just going to dab the edges pink. And as you can see, here's a piece of the designer series paper we're using. And that, I'm going to bring it up closer, and you can see that it has pink around the edges of the center. So just want to be able to kind of replicate that so that it goes along with the paper. Do a little bit more here. And that's, I think I'm going to stop with that. So now we're going to put these together. And there's two ways that you can do this. You could do it with using a glue dot, or you could use it with your multi-purpose glue. These will go together like this, where they overlap. And then your center goes here in the middle. But as I look at it, and that's something, you know, we all do with making cards, I want to give this a little bit more depth too. So let's go ahead now, and we're going to put just a little bit of glue on here. And there's, oops. Okay, there's the flowers put together there, and then we're going to take this, and so I'm going to go ahead and add this right here. So put a little bit of glue on here, and again, you could use a glue dot. Okay, and then I'm going to take my stem. Excuse my hand for being in the way. And you can see that the stems go, they gave them to you for two different directions, which is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this to the flower. How many of you have this stamps or this dies and how many of you have used it yet. Now, this is the next piece, and again, it's the smaller one. So this is going to go in right here. And we have 2 more die cuts, which I did not show you. This is a bud of an undeveloped daffodil. So you could use that in your flower, in your card, and you would adhere it to a stem. But I'm not going to use that today, but that is how those 2 pieces go together. And if I were using it, I would probably use the pale papaya and darken that one piece up. Now the other thing you could do is use 2 different colors of cardstock, such as daffodil and maybe bumblebee, so that you'd have the larger, have the 2 complementary colors. So let's put this on. And I'm going to add this here because, again, it isn't a fully developed flower, and I just want to show the petals opening up. And I'm going to go ahead and add this. And I'm going to add my stem. Okay, so we have our flowers, and I'm going to set those off to the side, and I'm going to bring in our card base. So again, this is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. I'm just going to go ahead and burnish this. And then I'm going to take my piece of Very Vanilla that I ran through the cut and emboss machine, and we're going to adhere this to the front of our card. I like to use the multi-purpose glue for this simply because with the embossing, I want to make sure that it adheres well. Oops. I feel like I'm all thumbs today. Okay. And then I'm going to take a piece of my Designer Series paper, and I'm just going to put it off to the side. And it's going to fit right on top of that embossed. Now the embossed piece is 4 1/4, or 4, I'm sorry, by 5 1/4. Let's do that. Okay. Now I want to just arrange my flowers. And what I'm going to do is just see how we like them here. I think I want to have them overlap a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a glue dot here for the stems. And I'm going to take my pick tool and I'm going to bring that in. And I'm just going to fold it up. And all I want to do is hold this together so that their stems overlap. Okay. And then we're going to bring in our leaves. And we have put this here. dust this over a little bit. Put a little bit more glue. Okay, now my stems, I'm going to glue those down. But I'm going to pop the flowers up with Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay. I'm going to put one here. And I'm going to put one right here. And then I'm going to bring this in underneath. And this one I'm not going to pop up. I'm going to actually glue down. Now I want to put a bow on here. So I'm going to bow here. So we're going to do this. And I'm just going to trim it off. So I'm just doing a little bit of a square knot here, like you were to start a bow. Okay, and I'm going to trim it off with my snips. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a glue dot and I'm going to attach it here. I'm just going to tighten the bow up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so let's take a glue dot. And I'm just going to put that right here. Okay, and then I have the greeting that just says thank you. So I'm just going to trim this off because I want it to be pretty plain. I just don't want to take away from the card. And I'm going to attach it here with just 2 Stampin' Dimensionals. So there's the outside of our card. So let's finish up the inside. This is a thank you, so I am going to leave it without a verse so that I can write a personalized greeting or message. So I'm just going to take my 1/2 inch strip of designer series paper and add it to the edge of my card. And then we'll adhere it to the inside. Again, on the right below me on either my YouTube channel or my website. So there's our card. I'm gonna add another little piece of Stampin' Dimensional. I use my pieces of Stampin' Dimensional on the edges and I cut them to fit. So I'm going to flip this over. And there we go. So there's our card. I love the little bit of the pink edge on it. And let me bring in just a couple other cards from this set that I've been working on and made. This was another one that I made with just the dies and another of the designer series paper. Here I used basic white and I used a stencil and I just stenciled in with, that's mint macaroon. And then this is another one from the stamp set where I stamped it and I colored it with my Stampin' Blends. And this was a sympathy card. And on the inside I put the butterfly from the die cuts. So I hope you enjoyed this card. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up and help me grow my channel. And I will be back on Thursday with another video for you and a blog post. So have a good day. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be honored to be your demonstrator. If you need a catalog, just go to the top, click on my website, and send me a message. Have a good day, explore your love of stamping and paper crafting, and I'll see you soon.